I've built a keyboard, as you know, if you've seen the other videos. And essentially what I did was I bought a cheap keyboard and replaced all the replaceable bits on it. And I've had a request to give more detail about the TechNet keyboard itself, which I'm assuming, in fact I don't know. I don't know if the request is for the original keyboard or the modified one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through what I did, why I did it, and at the end I've also been asked to do a typing test or a typing demonstration on the keyboard. So I'll do one on both. Whatever floats your boat, mate. So to start off then, really, what is it that I wanted to achieve? Well, number one, I wanted a mechanical keyboard, and I just wanted one. I mean, it's something that's just nicer than having a membrane keyboard or some other form of modern keyboard. So I just wanted a mechanical keyboard, and so I had some other criteria for it. I wanted an 88 key keyboard, a full size keyboard, but essentially without the devil's numerical pad, which are just evil. I also wanted a UK keyboard, so specifically I wanted the hash in the right place, the quote in the right place, the backspace in the right place, and I also wanted an ISO keyboard, so I wanted a proper size enter key. I really don't get on with those long enter keys that the Americans have. They're just the wrong shape. This is what I've always used, and god damn it, it's what I'm always going to use. And then the final criteria that I wanted shine through. I wanted backlit letters, so that the letters could be highlighted and in low light, and I'll be able to read them, because I'm getting old, and frankly, it helps. Certainly, I've got a laptop that doesn't have a backlock keyboard, and I've got one that does have a backlit keyboard, and I find the latter to be much easier to use when it starts to get dark and I can't be able to put the light on. So enter the TechNet X705 keyboard. It's, for the money, I think it was 30 quid or something like that, and I thought that was a bit of a bargain, to be honest. It's got a reasonably sturdy structure. It weighs, I don't know how much it weighs, I haven't weighed it, but if that's a kilogram, I'd be surprised. It's in that sort of ballpark figure, I reckon. Most importantly, from my perspective, is it was cheap, and it cost 30 quid, which for a mechanical keyboard I think is pretty reasonable. It hit all the nails on the head for the criteria that I wanted. It's an 80% keyboard. It's got backlighting, and yeah, it's mechanical. It's got switches. So for the 30 quid, what did I get? Well, I got the case, the plastic bit at the bottom, which is a decent chunk of plastic. I don't mind that at all. The keyboard doesn't flex at all when you try and bend it, which I take as a good thing. You get the plate, which is where all the switches click into, and you get the PCB. Everything else on the keyboard was open for replacement, but we'll get into that in a minute. And of course, the final criteria that I had is it's an ISO UK keyboard, which it is. But the X705 is not perfect. There are a number of issues that I have with it. The first one is that the black keys with the essentially dark grey well, it's medium grey in fact, if I'm honest about it. With the medium grey lettering, I find it really difficult to read the letters without the backlight on. I'm not a touch typist. I have to see the letters in order to press the right key, and so I found that quite difficult to get on with out of the box. And then you've got the second issue I have is these multimedia legends along the top row keys. They are horrendous. Why would you just gob on bright white legends when you've got medium grey shine throughs? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would come up with that as a design choice. And then the third major flaw for me is the backlight. It's a bit garish for me. You can't change these colours. You can only change the sequence in which they come on. It's horrible. It makes it look. It makes the keyboard look very, very cheap. And I know it is very, very cheap. But I don't want it to look very, very cheap. So, with that, really, I was kind of persuaded that what I needed to do was change everything. So the keycaps, they've obviously got to go and replaced with something clearer and more stylish. The backlights need changing. And from my perspective, what I really wanted was just a uniform colour on the backlight. This kind of gamer idea of having multiple colours flick, just, I don't know, what can I say? It's horrible, horrible, horrible idea. Gamers should be ashamed of themselves for having so many colours in front of them all at once. And since the backlights had to be replaced, and in order to do that, I had to remove all of the keys, the switches from the PCB. I figured I might as well change the switches as well. There's actually nothing wrong with the switches that came with it. They're these Oteru blue switches. If we can get it to focus. Go on, focus. Focus. There we go. They're okay. They click, and you can hear they've got the built-in click. There's a bump in there for them. They're not unpleasant to type on. It's got to be said. If I just move that closer to the microphone, you'll be able to hear the clicking a bit better. Sorry about that, we've just had a bit of a focusing battle with the camera. So I thought maybe, I just thought, yeah, let's change the switches for something else. I didn't have any set criteria for any of this, really, other than what I've already stated. So I spent quite a lot of time looking for alternative keycaps, since that was going to be the thing that made the biggest difference to the look and feel of the keyboard. And in the end I opted for, if I can pronounce this correctly, Tai Hao Rose White keycaps. And it ticked my boxes. It was an ISO UK set. It was actually a full set, a full 102, 104, 105. The full keyboard, but obviously I don't need the devil's number pad. And yeah, they were really nice. They're really nice keys. You can see them here, obviously. They're very, very well designed from my point of view. They're double shot, so I can get them. Obviously, they're double shot because they're shine through, and we're going to have another focusing battle, aren't we? Are you going to focus in on the thing I want you to focus in on? Right, okay. So we can see that they're double shot. Obviously, because they're white, you can't see the clear plastic insert, but it's definitely there. And they're quite, they're more weighty, shall we say, than the switches that they're replacing, which honestly feel a little bit cheap. They feel pretty light and plasticky, whereas these have got a bit more weight to them. They're by no means the world's best heavy duty switches. You know, they're not Space Cadets, but they are nice. And I've got to say, the other thing I'll say about the keys is that I do think they look pretty stylish. The legend is clear. It's a little bit weird to have well, for me anyway, to have the actual character and the shift character on the same level, but I guess that's part of the design of the keycap, and I could live with it. So once I've decided on the keycaps, I figured that the next thing to decide is the LEDs, and what I had to do, or what was the best process to carry on with, was just take all the keys, all the white keys, and put them on the standard on the Technic keyboard, and then just see which colours shine through best. And if I put this one back on again, the green was pretty good. The orange was okay. The red, the blue, and the pink at the bottom were horrible. But the best one by far, which surprised me, I have to say, was the white along the top. Very clear through the keys, and at that point it was like, okay, now I need to get some white LEDs. As well as the LEDs for the keys themselves, switches themselves, I also changed the LED for the caps lock and the win lock light, and I can't remember how you get the win lock light on. Maybe that'll come back to me, because I never use it. But anyway, so the original caps lock and win lock keys are blue, and I've swapped them over to white, ultra bright white LEDs. They're actually a different size LED to the LEDs for the switches, but so I had to find those separately. The next decision was pretty arbitrary, and it was which switches to use. Now the original switches, as I said, are clicky switches. They're blues. So I wanted to go for something that was linear, and again, there's no real reason for it. I don't have any particular preference for linear, but I wanted to try them out. So I opted for, in the end, after a few hours on the internet, with Gatron Clear SMD switches, which met the same sort of design specification as these ones. They had clear plastic tops, they had the little gap in the top there for the LED shining through to come through, and they had the right mountings on them, because obviously I'm fitting them to a custom keyboard design. I'm fitting them to a custom PCB, so I wanted them to be exactly the same spacing, etc., and they were. So that was that. You can look at the videos if you want to see all the soldering and desoldering. So in terms of costs, the keyboard itself, as I said, cost £30. The rose white keys were, I thought, quite expensive. They were £45. I don't begrudge that money at all. I think they've made a massive difference to the keyboard. Most notably with the very striking look that they have compared to the original keyboard. They were expensive, but they were worthwhile. The LEDs, for several iterations of LEDs that I've tried, and the little LEDs, about £10, and I've still got thousands of them left. And the switches themselves, the Gatron SMDs, they cost about £25. So in total, the project cost about £110, not including the second keyboard, of course. Which, so 110 is kind of expensive for a cheap keyboard, because it is still cheap keyboard, but I got the enjoyment out of building it as well, and it is kind of unique, isn't it, at this point? So that's it for the waffle. I guess I can show you a bit closer up the keyboard, since that's what you wanted to see. If I zoom in a bit, notice the zoom. You can see the quality of the original keyboard. It's okay, and you can see the blue switches under here. Oh, you might be able to if I switch the light off. So you can see well, you might be able to see anyway. And then underneath, you can see it is just plastic, and there's a key puller on the back of it as well, because I guess they're expecting people to change the keys. It's okay, like I say. There's no twist in it at all. It's pretty solid. Great keyboard. And if you want to look at the modified keyboard, again, it's the same. It's basically the same base. The keys are lovely, and I realise I haven't shown you the light on, and that's with them with the light on. You can see that I have been using this keyboard a bit because it needs a clean already. Look at that disgustingness up there. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reorganise a little bit, and then I'm going to do the typing demonstration as per requested. And I'm just going to, and I'll start on the original TechNet, and then I'll go on to the modified one. I hope this meets your sort of criteria, matey.